Hi everybody and welcome back to my channel. It's Russell with Ink and Paper Blog. Happy Sunday. I hope you guys have had a fantastic weekend. And if you can believe it, June is officially here. It is the beginning of June. I cannot even imagine. But that means that I get to do a couple of my regular videos that I absolutely love doing. And this is the first. This is going to be my Happy Book Birthday video. This is where I talk to you about some of the books that are coming out in the month of June that have been sent to me by publishers. As I always tell you, these are not all of the books coming out in the month of June, nor all the books that I'm excited about. These are just, luckily enough, the ones that were sent to me so that I can share them with you guys. I try to do them in order of publication, but there are quite a stack here. So, as always, get out your pen, get out your paper, get out your Goodreads, because I'm about to make your TBR explode. And as always, please pre-order from your independent bookstores or have your library pre-order these books for you so that you can support the authors and get their stuff into your hands and read it, because I'm telling you, there's a lot of books here that you're going to be interested in. So let's start with June 4th, I believe, is the Tuesday that starts the month. And we'll start with August 9 Fog by Katherine Scanlon. This was sent to me by MCD, which is part of FSG, and thank you very, very much, by the way. This is what Catherine did, is she found an old journal at an estate sale by a woman in her 80s that really covered 5 years of her life. I believe it's 1968 to 1972. What she did is then she took that information from this old beat up journal and she created sort of this poetic view into this woman's life. She organizes it by seasons, and what she really does beautifully is sort of give you touch-in points where you just follow different people in this woman's life, her own life, her health, other people's health, the food, the big ticket items, and also just her appreciation for the seasons. I found this very moving. It did not take me long to read, but it definitely has resonated with me. And so this is August 9 Fog by Katherine Scanlon. The next book I want to tell you about is a debut novel, and that's In West Hills by Deshaun Charles Winslow. This is out from Bloomsbury, again on June 4th. In West Hills is the story of a young woman, named Knott. She is an independent woman. She is a drinker and a partier, and all of the community that she lives in wants her to settle down. She has a man in her life who wants to marry her, but wants her to give up her ways, and she is not willing to do that. This is also the story of her best friend Otis Lee. He lives down the way with his wife and child, and sort of the relationship between the two of them. What happens very early on in the book is Knott winds up getting pregnant, and there's a discussion on whether or not she wants to keep the baby and how that changes not only herself, but also her position in her world, and really how her community thinks of her, and really her relationship with her best friend Otis in that sort of regard. They are both phenomenal characters. I highly recommend you get your hands on this. In West Hills by Deshaun Charles Winslow. I have a feeling we'll be hearing about this one. There you go. Next is the novel The Bobcat by Catherine Forbes Riley. I just want to take a moment and hold that up for you. This was nicely sent to me by Arcade. This is the story of a young woman. Her name is Lorelei. She's an art student when she is attacked, and it is a horrible, horrible incident occurs to her, which forces her to move schools and sort of start over. While she's there, she starts sort of tutoring this young child, and one day on a hike, she runs into an injured bobcat and a man who has been following, a hiker who has been following the bobcat. That sort of introduction to those two beings changes who she is, and then also the little girl that she tutors goes missing, which also affects her. And all of it sort of comes into who she is as a person and who she's going to be as a woman moving forward. I am super excited for this one. This is one that has really been sticking out on my radar. So that's The Bobcat by Catherine Forbes Riley, again out on June 4th from Arcade Books. Okay, this is the last book coming out at the very first week, and that is Getting Rid of Mabel by Kiza. She said, you know what, hold on one second. She gave me how to pronounce her name in this lovely letter that she sent me, and it is Kezia Frost. I'm sorry, Kezia. I butchered your name again, but I am a huge fan. She wrote The Reluctant Fortune Teller, which came out last year. This is sort of a compendium novel about the three women from that book. What happens is Mabel comes into town and sort of disrupts Carlotta, who is sort of the matriarch of that group's sort of status quo, and she's going to do what she needs to do to get rid of her. I love a book about old women. You know I do. It's one of my just pure heart pleasure readers. I loved these women in The Reluctant Fortune Teller, and this is so nice of Kezia to send me a copy of Getting Rid of Mabel, and again, out June 4th, and this is out from, let me get the publisher for you really quick, Allegra Books out of Illinois. So there you go. I really did love that first book. Now we're on to the next week, which I believe is June 11th, and this is where I have the most books. This is Bunny by Mona Awad. This was sent to me by Viking, I said that with a B. This is the story of a young woman in a writing seminar at a Ivy League school in the Northeast, where there is also, and she's there on scholarship, so she's sort of like the outsider to the group, but there's a group of women that call each other Bunny who are in the program with her, and one day she gets invited into sort of their inner circle. She has to leave her best friend behind, and it's sort of what is going on in this group, and what does this group mean. I read the first part of this book, and I'll have to tell you, I was cracking up. There's a certain dark sense of humor. I loved the beginning. This is one of the books that I have taken on my trip to Book Expo America, so I have a feeling I'll be done with it by the time we get back together. But that is Bunny by Mona Awad. You know I absolutely love a book about writing, about creativity, and then you add a little bit of like hilarity to it and sort of dark cynicism. I'm on board. So again, thank you very much, Viking. The next book is a science fiction novel that was sent to me by Page Street. I don't know a ton about it, but it's Stronger Than a Bronze Dragon by Mary Fan. It also comes out on June 11th. And this is the story of a young woman. Ling Anli. I'm saying that name absolutely wrong. She is a warrior who protects her village. And then one day, sort of the, is it an emperor? Let me see if that's the right word. Viceroy. A viceroy arrives with his mechanical dragons and promises to protect her city, but in doing so, she has to promise her hand in marriage. And she has sort of been the warrior who has protected her city until this time. And it says the day before her wedding, she encounters Tai, a young thief who is also trying to save his people. Tempted by his quest and the thrill of glory it promises, the two embark on an epic journey to the courts of hell to discover where the shadow spirits come from. But the secret of their existence isn't so easily solved. So I think that sounds like a fun YA fantasy novel. You know, I love one of these every once in a while. They're great summer reads too. And I like to get things like this read so I can give them to my niece and nephew. So that's Stronger Than a Bronze Dragon by Mary Fan, out from Page Street. Thank you very much. The next book that I'm going to tell you about is Fatal Inheritance by Rachel Rhys. I'm going to make sure I hold that up there for you. This was sent to me by, I got to look at that. That print is too small for me to read on the side of the book. Washington Square Press, which is a imprint from Atria. This is set in 1948. Eve is a woman in England, and she's in an unhappy marriage and not happy with her life. She wants excitement. She wants an adventure. And all of a sudden, she finds out that she has been bequeathed an inheritance and a piece of land on the French Riviera, right? An enchanted villa overlooking the Mediterranean Sea. However, when she gets there, challengers come forward to her inheritance, and she has to figure out why she got this mysterious inheritance. Where did it come from? Who gave it to her? And why? As people are trying to steal it away from her. I think that sounds like, again, doesn't that sound just like a fun, intriguing beach read? And that is Fatal Inheritance by Rachel Rhys. I think that's going to be a fun book to read. The next book I'm going to tell you about, I'm going fast, guys, because this video is going to be very long. I apologize. And that is this book. I got to read it. It's got, The Skin is the Elastic Covering That Encases the Entire Body. This is by Bjorn Rasmussen, translated by Martin Atkin. And this is from Two Lines Press. Take a moment there. And this is, what if the only kind of love you understood was the one that shattered taboos? What if your very first romance drowned you in a whirlpool of transgression? A coming-of-age novel that is minutely in tune with the hungers of its narrator's body. This book defies category. It follows a teenage boy named Bjorn who cuts into his flesh to find relief from his depressed mother and the sexual desires that frighten him. Bjorn begins a sadomasochistic affair with an older man that promises healing, but instead it only harms him further. In spiraling, desperate search for understanding, Bjorn struggles through revulsion, despondency, and grief, pushing his flesh to the limits. Goodness, that sounds dark, but it also sounds painful. I think that sounds powerful. So that's the skin is the elastic covering that encases the entire body. This is by Bjorn Rasmussen, translated by Martin Atkins. So there you go. The next book I'm going to tell you about is a story collection, a short story collection, Someone Who Will Love You in All Your Damaged Glory by Raphael Bob-Waksberg. He is the creator of the TV show BoJack Horseman, which my husband absolutely loves. And so there's a lot of humor in this. I've already dipped in and out. He's hilarious. And you know how hard it is to really describe a short story collection. But if you are looking for a short story collection that's going to make you laugh and probably stump you and think and then go, why am I laughing? But you know you're laughing, and then also learning a little social commentary as we go. I have a feeling Someone Who Will Love You in All Your Damaged Glory by Raphael Bob-Waksberg is it, and this is out from Knopf. I want to thank Knopf for sending me this copy. This was actually sent to me by my friend Ann Kingman, so thank you, Ann. This book was sent to me with another book that I requested, and so I don't know much about the Darwin Affair. And this is by Tim Mason. This is out from Atria. No, is this Algonquin? This is Algonquin. Yes, Algonquin. And what it says, London, June 1860. When an assassination attempt is made on Queen Victoria, a petty thief is gruesomely murdered moments later. And only a block away, Chief Detective Inspector Charles Field quickly surmises that these crimes are connected to an even more sinister plot. Was Victoria really the assassin's target? Are those closest to the crown hiding something? And who is the shadowy figure witnesses describe as having lifeless, coal-black eyes? Soon Field's investigation exposes a shocking conspiracy in which the publication of Charles Darwin's Origin of Species sets off a string of murders, arson, kidnap, and the pursuit of a diabolical madman called the Chorister. Okay, that sounds fun. It reminds me of the Dante Club. Do you guys remember that book that came out years ago? Sort of has that feel to it. So that's The Darwin Affair by Tim Mason. This also comes out on June 11th from Algonquin. And I want to thank them. I didn't know that one was on my radar, but it definitely sounds like a fun time. Okay, we're on to the third week of June here now. This is June 21st, I think. 21st. 3 books here. The Fraud Affair by Ellen LaCorte. This was sent to me by Harper. This is the story of a woman who is set to inherit her mother's psychic business, but it turns out she's not psychic. So she has to put up a front. It's also the story of a mother with a sick daughter and her desire to find a cure for the illness that is affecting her daughter. And they become, it says, when the mother moves across the country to find Stephanie the help she needs, her daughter, they're getting settled when she meets this psychic and thinks that all of her prayers may be answers. Unfortunately, an encounter on an airplane carefully constructed lives into a tailspin. Can these two very different women help each other out? I'm actually excited. I believe that Ellen LaCorte is actually going to be at Book Expo America. So by the time this video go live and I'm actually talking to you guys about it later, I may have some more insight into The Fraud Affair. I'm sorry, The Perfect Fraud by Ellen LaCorte. This is out on the 21st by Harper. Thank you very much. Okay, a bit of nonfiction. I've talked to you guys a bit about this book. This is Night in the American Village by Akemi Johnson. This is the true story of really the women that surround Okinawa, Japan, and sort of how the U.S. presence there and their military presence has affected that community. And not only the community outside the Air Force Base, but also the community inside of it. As I've said before in videos, I heard the author read from this, and it was fantastic. So if you are into World War II history, but from a different perspective, I have a feeling that this book is going to be something right up your alley. I want to thank the New Press for sending me a copy of this early. It's definitely there. I think about it because I think the idea is fantastic. And that's Night in the American Village by Akemi Johnson, out by New Press, again, June 21st. Okay, another book that was sent to me, and I know absolutely zero about, is The Burning Chambers by Kate Moss. Now, I read a Kate Moss book quite some time ago, The Secret Chamber, I believe it was called. So I don't know anything about this one, to be honest with you. And it is a chunkster, but the text is at least big. So yeah, so it says, Old Secrets Cast Long Shadows. I know she writes a lot of historical fiction, So I'm just letting you know, if you are a fan of her work, to put it on your radar. And I took this beautiful thing that they had on it off, and now I cannot get it back on. And I am really, let me see. I don't even know if I have a little piece of paper on this one. Oh, I do. Hold on. You know what? I don't know much about this book. It was sent to me, and it doesn't have much of a blurb. So I apologize. I cannot tell you much about it. But I will say that I really enjoyed the secret history, or the Secret Chamber, I believe is what it was called. And this is The Burning Chambers by Kate Moss. Sorry, that sort of was not my best there. But sometimes I don't know a book about, and I don't know how to do it. Last but not least are some books coming out on June 28th. And that's The Snakes by Sadie Jones. Now, I've already talked about this in my last read and review book. This is a family drama / murder mystery book set in a little hotel outside outside of major city Paris, France. It's actually in a little tiny town in a hotel that is owned by a rich family. Our main characters are a husband and wife that go there, and we get really drawn into her family history. She has forsaken the money of her family, and her husband is now intrigued by that idea. Her younger brother is running this hotel when he is killed, and it becomes an investigation. What does that mean? As we also learn about the history of her family and a lot of stuff that comes to the forefront. Money changes a lot of people. So that's The Snakes by Sadie Jones. Please check out my read and review video. I talk about this book in much more detail. Absolutely loved it. Definitely recommend it. If you are in the mood for sort of one of those family drama thrillers, this is a summer read for you. The Snakes by Sadie Jones. The next book in the list is Cygnet by Susan Butler. This book was sent to me by Harper, and this is the story of Kid. Kid is abandoned by her parents at her grandmother's house on an island. Now, that island is actually sort of a retirement island. Everyone there is of a certain age, and they are not happy Kid is there with her grandmother. And then, unfortunately, her grandmother passes, and she is there alone, and she has to make ends meet. And it's about her trying to do what she needs to do to live, but also living in a community that doesn't want her there. They want a certain sort of sense of relaxation and age and retirement. I don't know how to explain that. But she is an outsider in this community, and she has to deal with that as well. She has a lot of talents. She has a lot of stuff that she brings to the forefront. But they still don't all want her there. So that's Cygnet by Susan Butler. I took this on my trip to Washington, to New York for Book Expo, so I definitely should have more of a review for you guys soon. Again, thank you very much, Harper. Okay, last but not least, in books coming out in June that I have to tell you about, is The Van Appel Girls Are Gone by Felicity McLean. And that's wrong. McLean. Sorry, there's an L in there. I believe that this is actually a debut novel. Let me see. Yeah, I think so. Then she is an Australian novelist. This is the story of Tika. Tika is a young girl at the start of the book when she is 11 years old in about 1992, when four sisters? I think it's four sisters, go disappearing. Tika comes back to that town years later, trying to solve the mystery of where those girls went. Were they kidnapped? Where did they just run away? Were they murdered? What happened to them? And what that really did to affect herself as she grew up. I don't know much more about it other than I think that sounds fantastic. And the blurb says that it is the Virgin Suicides meets Picnic at Hanging Rock in this stunning international debut, which sells it for me. I have to be honest. Absolutely sells it for me. So this is The Van Appel Girls Are Gone by Felicity McLean. This was kindly sent to me by Algonquin Books of Chapel Hill, and I want to say thank you. And yeah, this sounds like it's going to be moving up my TBR very, very quickly. Okay, I know I talked so fast because there were so many books to tell you guys about. I hope every single one of these will make it on your TBR. I will list them all below just in case I talked too fast. As always, if you are a return subscriber to my channel, I thank you so very, very much. If you are new to my channel, I hope every single one of these books winds up on your TBR. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. And as always, I wish you happy reading, and until next time, I'll talk to you soon. Bye!